Bruce has a book out. It's called The QB, available this month. It's about the business of quarterback evaluation and development. He's Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports, covering college football. Bruce, good morning. Tell me about this Todd Gurley situation. What's he accused of doing? What's the punishment eventually going to be?
Oh, morning, Dan. So yesterday around 3 p.m. Eastern, the Georgia staff was notified that Todd Gurley, the Heisman Trophy, probably top dog, as it were, would not be making the trip with the rest of the team to Missouri for their big game this weekend. And what we have learned at Fox Sports was that it is due to the school is investigating whether Gurley accepted extra benefits for with memorabilia dealers. And if the story sounds vaguely familiar, as in Johnny Manziel situation last year, it should, because there's some similarity with it with the star athlete. And now, question is, how much more stuff will come to light or surface? Also, is there any video proof, or is there any proof of Todd Gurley actually accepting money? Now, there's a lot of signed items on the internet that make it look fishy, but at the same time, this is tough for Georgia and going to be tough for the NCAA to kind of sort through. Remember, even though Manziel only got suspended for a half a game at the start of last season, that process actually started in July. Manziel was also really lawyered up to kind of attack it. So we'll see how quickly this can all get resolved and if more information will come forward. I know TMZ had its own report late last night that there was, somebody else claiming $2,000 that was accepted or in excess of $2,000. We'd heard that it was around $400. I know Sports Illustrated had also reported that dollar figure. So we'll see what else comes forward now.
How rampant is this, Bruce? Let's just kind of put all the cards on the table here. It goes on. The question is, who gets caught when it goes on?
Exactly. I think what people see in a level of hypocrisy where, Georgia's selling Todd Gurley's jersey for $140 a pop. It's all over the internet. It's not hard to find how the schools make so much money. Look, TV networks, I work for a big TV network, we're making a fortune off of these kids. Now, they're getting scholarships, yes. The Ed O'Bannon case went through the legal pipeline this summer, and the NCAA was kind of able to uphold in regard to this. It's standard. There are more lawsuits in the pipeline. I think what you see is a lot of guys thinking, we're not going to get caught. Hey, Johnny Manziel only got half a game. Now, Johnny Manziel, going back to that, he steadfastly denied that to the NCAA that he had ever accepted money for any of that situation. But I think a lot of people look and going, this is small dollar figures, and everything else. As hard as the NCAA has a problem with agents and street agents, I think this other wing of it with these memorabilia dealers is another headache that it's, like I said, it's very hard for them to get around because these guys will show up wherever. Players do sign autographs, so it's hard to determine, was this something he signed for free? Did he get compensated? It's a cash business, so I think that's what makes it such a wide open area to be exploited.
But this is an arcane rule that they have. Do we step into the 21st century and let these kids profit from their likeness, as everybody else seems to be doing?
I think, Dan, that's what we're headed to with more of these lawsuits, because there's just this stuff is now met with just a collective shoulder shrug. You go back a few years. Now, keep in mind, Georgia dealt with the suspension of A.J. Green. I think he was sat for 4 games. Marcel Darius, a star player at Alabama. You had kind of a run of these. A couple of guys at North Carolina. North Carolina football players around the same time. And I think just as we've gotten in the last 5 or 6 years, people just look and go, oh, that's an NCAA stupid violation. It probably shouldn't be a rule anyway. Now, it still is a rule, and I think that there's a level of, accountability. People going, you know what, everybody knows what these rules are. Are you breaking them or not? But I think as we get more and more dollar values are put in here and a kind of a little more transparency, I think, in who's making money here, I do think that there will be a more, I don't want to say more progressive thought on this.
But what's the danger, Bruce, if we got rid of this rule and you did let kids profit off of their likeness, their signature?
I think it starts getting into a different area legally in terms of who's going to make money. Are they employees? Can these guys get fired, for lack of performance? I talked to a couple of ADs this spring who talked about how you're going to have billboards of players and how it affects recruiting and different things of what they're going to be able to offer from their boosters or the boosters they would go to for money for like maybe stadium or facilities enhancement. Now all of a sudden they're going to talk about package deals that they would put together for these players. It's a very slippery slope, and I don't think, from talking to a lot of people within college athletics, they know the unintended consequences that would come with it. And that doesn't mean they should completely shut this down and go, hey, we got to be happy with what we have right now. This model works, because clearly the model doesn't work. And, having said all this, anytime you have some kind of scandal or a wave of guys who break rules or get, suspended, I think people go, well, let's do this. Well, you're never going to stop people from cheating. There's always going to be the temptation for somebody to offer people more money and whatnot. I think that's a level of human nature, especially with competitive sports. But, like I said, there's a lot of lawsuits in the pipeline, and I think the NCAA, which had been tone deaf for so long, especially under the quote-unquote leadership of Mark Emmert, I think there's so much more attention on this, and there is so many more people speaking out about it. I think the NCAA is going to be sensitive to this case, especially where you have a high-profile player. He's the best player in the best conference in college football. And there's a lot of eyeballs on it, and people going, hey, what are we really doing here? So we'll see how quickly this gets resolved and sorted out.
I'd like to have you on in a couple of weeks when the book comes out, the QB, and talk a little bit more about it. Got a busy morning here and got Brady Hoke coming up, but we'll have you on to talk about the book.
I appreciate it. Always good talking with you, Dan. Thank you.
Is Brady Hoke okay at Michigan for the rest of the season?
I think he probably is for the rest of the season. Now, after they play Ohio State, I don't know. I doubt it. But, look, I think the expectations are a lot higher, and they just haven't won enough on the field. And all that other stuff that may have been brought up, came up with Shane Morris. I think it just gets back to wins and losses. And, especially in the last 3 weeks, I think they had the chance to turn it. It's not like the Big Ten is loaded, but the teams they're losing to, Utah, Minnesota, now Rutgers, the way they lost, I think, that's a hard thing. Now, the real curious part here is who would be making the decisions going forward. Dave Brandon, the AD's on shaky ground, too. So it's a really messy situation. I mean, he's got a real slim chance of surviving it there. He being Brady Hoke, I think, for to get past this, to get into 2015. I just don't see it at this point.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Dan.
He's Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports college football analyst. His book, The QB, available later this month. The business of quarterback evaluation and development. What an inexact science that is.